State team, very good team, complete. This is got to be one of the most experienced teams in the country for sure. I mean, a ton of guys that have played a lot of ball on both sides of the ball. 9 of 11 back on offense, had 10 of 11 back on defense. Now 8 of 11. It's a couple guys getting hurt. Guys that have, again, a few guys that have transferred in that were starters as well. So lots of experience with this team. They're incredibly well coached. They play hard, play tough, play smart, and they're 2-1. Mississippi State was a tough game for them. They kickoff return for a touchdown, and then NC State had 3 turnovers. So otherwise, that's a tight game. They gave up 17 points, not counting the kick return. So this is a really, really good team. Offense.
What's up, Tiger fans? Welcome into the Tailgate show. I'm Zach Lindsay, his Brad Singer. He is Jason Priester. And guys, head game. Before we get to this NC State game here this weekend, let's talk a little bit about Georgia Tech, because this Tiger team is struggling on offense right now. And so here's the question I have for y'all. Dabo seems to think that it's not time to panic, that everything is fixable. We talked about this last week against South Carolina State. I mean, is it time to panic yet? I mean, Dabo seems to be pumping sunshine, saying DJ's gonna fix it. He's too talented for these problems to continue to surface. But for me, it seems that these should have been fixed in the fall and spring, and not in your 4 games into the season.
Well, I'm not quite ready to say it's time to hit the panic button, but it's getting really, really close. And to me, the biggest thing that stands out, look, it's a lot of executional stuff. Get a little bit better here, a little bit better there. You fix some of the problems, at least structurally speaking. But the question is, where are the big plays going to come from? Because in college football in 2021, if you cannot create more big plays than your opponents, if you cannot create enough big plays to overcome your mistakes like penalties and turnovers, which turnovers have absolutely played Clemson so far this season, if you don't create big chunk yards to combat your errors, then you simply put yourself in a position where you can lose to just about anybody, especially if that other team is able to create a couple of big plays. It's just not an era of football you can get away with being 118th in the country, is where Clemson ranks right now, in plays of 20 yards or more. They have reeled off a couple of big runs that are like 15, 16 yards, but they're not producing anything in the passing game down the field. And until that changes, I think you have to be on panic alert. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And you mentioned explosive plays, because Dabo was asked about that in his press conference on Tuesday. He got a little bit defensive. So let's hear from the man himself.
I don't think you're going to see many people have a bunch of explosive. Georgia, number one. South Carolina State played everybody deep, and we just ran the ball and took a few plays and played a couple quarters and called it a day. We played a team last week that dropped 8 and said, run the ball. What we did. And it was of what they don't and what we prepared for. That's our 3 games. That's what we got.
I mean, for Dabo Swinney to say that's what we got after 3 games is a little bit shocking to me. Jason, talk to me about these explosive plays. I mean, are you not a little bit shocked that they didn't at least try to push the ball down the field a little bit more against Georgia Tech and South Carolina State? I mean, these are 2 teams that are some of the worst in FBS and FCS in defense last year. And yet the Tigers just seem to be content just to do what the defense was dictating, rather than trying to change them and dictate what you want on offense.
Yeah, it has been a little surprising. With DJ playing so poorly against Georgia, and I know a lot of that was due to the offensive line and Georgia's talented defensive front, but DJ still played poorly. I kind of expected Clemson to come out and try to get right against South Carolina State regarding the passing game, and we just didn't see a lot of that. They took a couple of shots down the field, and the passes were way off target. But outside of that, we didn't see them try to push the ball vertically very much. And then last week against Georgia Tech, we didn't see them try to push the ball down the field at all. And it is a little odd to see this Clemson offense, operate that way when it's been operated in such an opposite fashion in the past. I think it's concerning that Clemson isn't trying to dictate on offense rather than just take what they are getting from these far less talented teams.
I think there's some truth to what Jason's saying, and I think it should be concerning that they're almost too conservative to the degree that they're letting a team like Georgia Tech decide how they play. I think you're going to have to see a much more aggressive offensive team if they want to reach the goals that are in front of them. But it's also not really in the DNA of this coaching staff right now. It just isn't. They are fine with just sort of grinding it out if they need to and winning these kind of games because they've got that defense. Until that defense shows a weakness, I think the coaching staff will stick with being way more conservative than the fans care to see because, I'm just telling you, if I'm a coach and I know nobody can score a touchdown on me, I'm not going to take chances. I'm not going to put the ball in harm's way to the degree where it might get me beat when I know my defense just simply isn't going to give it up. Clemson needs to be more efficient with what it's doing, first and foremost. But I would, like Jason said, I would like to see a little more aggressiveness early in the games. If you want to adjust and go to conservative play calling later in the game, that's fine. But early on, try to dictate the pace. Just try it for once. They did it 2 years ago. They played North Carolina. The offense was stagnant. It was nothing but 50-50 balls. Everybody complained. What did they do the next game? Very first throw, Trevor throws it down the field. Very next play, Travis Etienne throws a halfback pass. And Dabo said, we wanted to come out and take the initiative and try to attack the opponent. Well, now would be a pretty good time to start going with something like that.
Absolutely. You mentioned the defense. This is my question. Can the defense continue to carry this team? I mean, you've heard defense wins championships, but boys, you have to be able to score points too to win championships. So for me, the question is, can this defense stay in play as you get against better teams? I mean, going to NC State this week is a step up from Georgia Tech, obviously. So they're going to have to play probably defensively outside of the Georgia game if they want to be able to keep the offense in this game. But for me, it's about, can the defense continue to carry the Tigers? I mean, you think about it, they've had to carry them for 3 straight games now. And really, I mean, it's got to wear on them. It has to wear on Brent Venables. It has to wear on these leaders on the defense because they know their offense isn't going to produce. So they know it's all on their shoulders if they're going to win. But in your opinion, can the defense continue to carry the Tigers to the level that they have to play at to win the championships this year?
I think it's a race against time. I think, maybe it comes down to a matchup or two, but I think it's a race against time of getting that offense to where it can actually create something in the explosive game while the defense is doing what it's doing. Eventually, Clemson is going to give up a touchdown. No team's going to run 12, 13 straight games without giving up a score. It's going to happen. The question is, can they get the offense on board in time before it costs them a game? Protect the football, first and foremost, would probably help aid some of that for sure. Yeah,
I mean, when you think about a defense, if the defense were to give up, say, 14 points, 17 points this week, you probably feel great about it in the past, but this year you're probably freaking out going, oh my God, are they going to be able to score enough on offense to justify what the defense did? Even though allowing 14, 17 points in today's game is a feat in of itself. Jason, your thoughts on the defense?
Yeah, I agree with Brad. I think you're playing with fire here. I think the defense can carry you, but they can only carry you so far. I mean, with the offense being so ineffective, the margin for error on defense is so small. At a certain point, some team's going to have a little bit of success against this Clemson defense. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to be on one Saturday and probably sooner than later. And this offense is going to have to score some points. Averaging 8 points a game just isn't going to get it done. They're going to have to find a way to put points on the scoreboard and take some of the pressure off of that defense.
That offense has given up 9 points this year. The offense gave up 9 points. Think about the pick six and the 2-point safety the other day. That's That's not good, fellas. That's not good when the offense is giving away points. Not to mention the touchdown drive that was certain to happen when DJ fumbled the ball inside the Georgia Tech 20 last week in the second half. So they're just giving teams opportunities and points that they simply just should not be doing.
Absolutely. Well, this week is the best week of the year for me, obviously. I love this week. It's a great week. It's Dabo versus Doran. If you haven't heard about their little rivalry, their little spat they have going on, it started back in 2016 when assistant coach for North Carolina State took a swipe at Deshaun Watson. Then it carried over to 2017 with Tailgate and Tailgate, which we have a clip of maybe my favorite Dabo Swinney press conference right here. So let's take a listen to Dabo responding to Dave Doran's accusations that Clemson was cheating and they were stealing titles. Bradley Chubb was stealing titles from Kelly Bryant, and Dabo was accused of cheating on the sideline for having laptops. So let's hear Dabo from probably his greatest press conference ever right here.
No, he did not. But, I don't know who. Somebody asked me, one of y'all asked me at the press conference, but I like I said, I had no clue. I mean, I knew it wasn't anything to do with football, but I did investigate. I did. I followed instructions to do some investigation, and I did. And turns out there was just a major crisis going on. There was a young guy trying to help a team in need, and I think trying to be helpful in the situation, trying to get in touch with Amazon. We had a crisis, dire need of towels. All right? And we were trying to get one of them drones to come in and drop some towels on the sideline. And, it just didn't work out. But but I want to launch an investigation too. What do they do with those towels? Is it a towel wall of fame? But no, disappointing because when it's kind of a challenge to our integrity. And then you watch the tape, and 2 years ago we go up there and one of the coaches pushes Deshaun Watson, and then this year we got some guy take a swipe at Kayvon. What if he breaks a finger? So I think the investigation needs to be in his side, not worried about ours. So didn't get a call. Thank you.
So that was the Tiger response to that. In 2018, NC State made a trip to Death Valley, and this sign appeared on the sidelines, a play card from Clemson. A direct response, Dabo said it was the ultimate troll. His post-game press conference, he said if the players earned it, they were going to let them pull it out. Obviously, they earned it, so that was in Dabo's words, the ultimate troll on Dave Doran and his lifetime hatred. And then 2 years ago, the last time these two teams met, Dabo Swinney decided to run the score up. They were up 49-7, I believe, with 11 seconds to go, and he decided he wasn't going to take a knee. He ran the ball in for a touchdown, made 56 points, and sent James Skalski in to kick the extra point. So there is no love lost between these two guys. It's a great week for Clemson football, week for the sport. If this Tiger team can't get up to go to NC State with the love lost between these coaches. Oh, we also have frosty handshakes after that game. If you remember, Dabo was asked about his frosty handshake with Dave Doran following the 2019 game. If these two teams can't get up and you don't see the best performance out of these two teams this week, I'd be surprised. Guys, what is your favorite memory of these two rivalries?
I think when Dabo was asked about the frosty handshake, that one just always floors me because I was standing right there beside the
shout out to Eric Boyden who asked that question.
And I mean, you talk about frosty. That room went ice cold. I mean, the temperature dropped. Dabo's rage warmed the room back up, and it was one of the most awkward moments of my career for sure. So that one stands out to me the most. Love that one.
I like it. Jason, yours.
My favorite's definitely the play card with the laptop on it. I'm in total agreement with what Dabo Swinney said, the ultimate troll job, and I'm a big fan of troll jobs, so that's by far my favorite one.
Absolutely.
Oh, I almost forgot too. The actual handshake that did take place, we looked over that film like it was a Zapruder film. Like we went back over that thing 1,000 times to find like the real, frosty moment between those two. But you're right, Zach. These guys don't like each other. It's just that simple. These coaches do not get along. Period.
No, they don't. But you know what? That's great. That's what sport needs. Is coaches don't like each other. Nobody likes coaches that get along. I mean, you want to see that frustration. You want to see that pregame. Stay in midfield. Having to put on a show for the camera. But inside your head, you're thinking, just how little you like the other person, how much you can't wait to punch the ball down their throat. But yeah, for these two teams, there's no love lost here. Dabo obviously doesn't like Dave Dorn. Dave Dorn. But you know what? To call it a rivalry is a little bit disingenuous, this team. I mean, NC State hasn't, in order for it to be a rivalry, don't you actually have to win games? I mean, because NC State has a terrible Clemson, even up there.
Yeah. They've lost like 15 of the last 16 or whatever it is. They haven't won since 2011. That big upset. So yeah, this is a team that has not competed well. Except for a couple years they were close. I mean, Dave Doran's gotten close, but he's 1-22 versus teams that finished the year in the top 25.
Yeah, that's not very good. So switching our look to this week's game against NC State, the defense obviously has their hands full with Devin O'Leary, who Brad I think is his Heisman pick now.
Nope, no, he's not my Heisman pick. No.
But he's slinging the ball around the field. Has some playmakers on offense.
Here's the thing. I don't know what NC State is offensively. I really don't. I know Bam Knight is a terrific running back. I know Ricky Person Jr. is a fantastic running back. I know they got a physical offensive line. The problem is I throw out USF in week 1 because that was a team that was not prepared to open the season yet. And then I throw out the Furman game last week because they just overwhelmed Furman from a physical and a matchup standpoint. Their only true game to judge was at Mississippi State, and they averaged like 1.4 yards per carry. They couldn't run the football. Mississippi State did what Brent Venables is going to try to do as well, and I think he'll be even more successful, is take away the run and force Leary to beat you. And I don't think they're going to hit enough downfield plays to move the ball and pick up enough first downs. And I think Clemson's defense, this is perfect game plan for Clemson's defense. They're going to force a ton of 3rd and longs. And Brent Venables is in a happy place when he's staring at the scoreboard and he sees 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 up there. That's where he truly wants to be.
Yes, he does. Jason, your takes on the defense this week heading up to NC State.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with Brad there. North Carolina State's really only played the one game. They couldn't run the ball in that game. I think this sets up real well for this Clemson defense, forcing a lot of 3rd and long, shutting that running game down. Venables being able to dial up that pressure. But on top of that, another thing I'll be looking for is, after last week, if Baylon Spector's back this week, how much more playing time did Levante Bentley earn with his performance last week? Because he was all over the field. It was.
Yes, he was.
He was impressive, man. And to me, I thought he earned some more playing time with that performance, and it'll be interesting to see, how those snaps are divvied up.
Yeah, I'm interested, really. I mean, this isn't a question about the defense and how they're going to play. I want to see how they're going to split the snaps at defensive tackle for Tyler Davis is out for pretty much 7-8 weeks, possibly. The torn bicep he played the game with. But, I mean, you're going to see Rook, you're going to see Trey Williams. But can Clemson get away with, rotating those in that position? And how much pressure is that going to put on Brian Brzee to absorb some of those things? Because that they're now going to double Brian Brzee and try and take him out of the game plan and let Rook or Trey Williams or those other guys try and beat him. So for me, that's the interesting thing for the defense. Now, we mentioned this earlier. You have to score points to win games, don't you? This Clemson team has struggled to do that in the first 2 games against FBS teams, averaging 8.5 points a game. So, what do you need to see out of the offense this week to give you some hope moving forward? The Tigers have maybe found something or put together a game plan or have some semblance of identity on offense. Brad will start.
Well, they should have a plan this time because they were surprised by Georgia Tech's, 3-3-5 or 3-5-3, whatever
I'm
variation
sorry. I'm
of it
sorry. I'm sorry.
they
I'm sorry.
ran.
Hang on. Hang on. I'll stop you right there. Because you have the best defensive coordinator in football. You tell me Tony Elliott couldn't walk his butt down the hall to see him during the 2.5 hours they had in rainy day and go, "Hey Brent, I need some help breaking this thing." I mean, to me, the fact that they had 2 hours of rain delay and they still came out with the same crappy game plan tells me there's some issues. But
Well,
yeah,
I,
go
I
ahead.
think they changed their game plan. I think they went to a power run, and I think that's what you're going to see against NC State. I want to see DJ run the football. That's what I want to see out of the offense. I want to see if Marcus Tate can handle this different blocking scheme when there's only 3 down linemen and they don't have guys running around looking for somebody to block. That was embarrassing. Too many linemen just kind of, doing circles, trying to find somebody to put their hands on. I want to see him get DJ in the run game and just power through NC State. Be more physical. Challenge your offensive line, challenge your quarterback, challenge Will Shipley, and say, hey, let's run the offense for you guys for a while. Soften it up a little bit. Make NC State think twice about going with a 3-man front and trying to use their linebackers, which they're down their best linebacker in Peyton Wilson, to stop you. And you know what? That just might open things up down the field. So come out in a heavy run set.
Yeah, Brad kind of stole my thunder there. I thought Clemson found something late in that game against Georgia Tech with that power run. I think DJ needs to be far more heavily involved in the running game. That offensive line, for the most part, was terrible against Georgia Tech. Like Brad said, there were times when they were looking for guys to block and just standing there, and Georgia Tech guys were running right by. I mean, it's just not something we're accustomed to seeing with this Clemson offense. I think you need to get DJ involved in that running game and get him involved early. He finally started showing some fire last week when they got him involved. He showed some emotion, something I've been waiting to see from him for 3 games, and we finally saw it towards the end of that game. And that fumble came at the worst time for him in that fourth quarter there when they were driving. But I think that's what we need to see against this North Carolina State defense come Saturday.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what you said about DJ, guys. But for me, it's not from the running game. For me, I wanted to see DJ actually make the simple throws. I'm not looking for him to complete 75% of his passes downfield. I want to see him make the simple throws. I want to see him be able to put the ball where he needs to be on short, intermediate throws.
Tight windows, yeah. Throw into some tight windows, yeah.
Yeah, I want to see him be able to put the ball in position to give his playmakers a chance to make plays after they catch the ball. Too many times they're catching the ball behind them or low or high, and they're not able to do anything with it after they catch it. So I want to see him just do the little things. I mean, his footwork. I want to see his footwork improve. I want to see him follow through and be decisive.
Yeah, there will be some passing lanes. There will be some windows. They may not be very large, but there will be some opportunities to get the ball in there. I think Davis Allen starting now at tight end could be a sign of some things to come as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love the idea of play starting too. I mean, he's earned it this season. He's been the best back by far, and he'll open things up in the passing game if they can eventually get him out some wheel routes, some swing routes, some angle routes.
Where's that been? Where's that been? I don't understand why you don't want to run a wheel route against these defenses they're seeing. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, especially
halfback screens. I mean, everybody in college football, guys, everybody at the NFL, everybody in high school, everybody runs screens to their running backs except Clemson right now, and I don't know why.
We saw Travis Etienne heavily involved in the passing game, last year and the year before last, even to a degree. We're not seeing it at all this year, and that is, a little surprising.
I think it's very surprising, especially as highly talented as Shipley was in the passing game. All we heard about was how great he could be, how he could flex out and get in the slot and create mismatches there with his speed. So I'm shocked at that. But we'll have to wait and see how the Tigers come out offense. I think we're all expecting them to at least show us something a little bit more than what we've seen the last few games. Before we get into our prediction for the NC State Clemson game, some of our weekly picks. I tried to pick the best games of the weekend here. Notre Dame versus Wisconsin, a game in Chicago. I really feel first off, I'm going to say this. Notre Dame has been one of the most unimpressive teams in the nation alongside Clemson. However, I think they get the job done against Wisconsin. Ches Malusi had a great first game against Penn State. He's quietly put together a great season up at Wisconsin. But something about this game just says that it's going to be Notre Dame's time. I don't think Wisconsin has offensive firepower to stay with Notre Dame. I'm taking Notre Dame.
I have to agree with you on this one. I don't trust Graham Mertz to go out there. No, Notre Dame's going to go to the young quarterback. I think they're going to be a little more dynamic in the passing game. And Graham Mertz for Wisconsin just cannot complete passes down the field or with regularity. So I'm with you. I don't trust Notre Dame, but I've seen nothing from Wisconsin that makes me think they're going to move the ball effectively enough.
Yeah, give me Notre Dame too. I'm like y'all. I thought they were very overrated coming into the season, but I think they win this game against the Badgers.
Texas A&M, another team that's like very unimpressive this season through their first 3 games, versus Arkansas, who's probably the surprise of the SEC right now. Guys, it's a game at Arkansas. Texas A&M has not looked impressive thus far. Give me Arkansas in an upset this week. I think Arkansas notches their first big win in the SEC play, knocks off an unbeaten, Texas A&M team. And this skyrockets Arkansas in national relevance.
I'm going to go with Texas A&M here. I think Arkansas is vastly overrated. I know they beat Texas. They played well that day, but this is not an Arkansas team that I think Jimbo Fisher is going to be fearful of. Now, can Zach Calzada play well enough at quarterback after they lost Haynes King? Look, he showed some flashes, against weaker competition. This is a step up. He was awful against Colorado, and we're going to hold that against him. We should, but this is an extra week to get ready for it. He got some time in the offense last week. I think A&M's the better team overall. I trust A&M's defense. I'm taking defense in this game. Give me A&M.
Yeah, this is one I could go either way on, but give me A&M on the road. I think they're going to win a close one.
I hear you. All right, Tennessee versus Florida. Florida, who's coming off the disappointing loss to Alabama. The Tennessee Volunteers, who are the most overrated team every single season. Just like Texas, everybody says they're back. They're not back. I mean, they're so far gone. Give me Florida in a big way in this game. They're going to rebound from their loss to Alabama and put a hurt on the Volunteers and send them crying back to Knoxville.
Yeah, I'm easily going Florida here, but I do think the line's too high. I think there was an overreaction to Florida's close loss. We're treating them almost like they beat Alabama by a touchdown with this line. It's like 19.5 points. That's a lot of points in a rivalry game like this. Tennessee's defense stinks really, really bad. So Florida's gonna play ball control here and get enough points to win, but I don't think they cover the spread.
Yeah, I'm going with the Gators too. They were mighty impressive on the line of scrimmage against Alabama in that loss last week. Much better than I thought they would be. Give me the Gators.
Absolutely. One more thing about this Tennessee game. Tennessee's been able to score points. That's not a question. It's their defense is awful. So anytime you have that combination, take the defense over the offense. So go Florida. All right, so final game of the weekend, West Virginia OU. This game right here is very intriguing to me because West Virginia, it's like every year you want them to be better than they are. And every year they kind of disappoint. Ever since they made the move to the Big 12, it's like we've been waiting on them to kind of have that spark they had in Big 10. Or I'm sorry, the Big East. But OU this season has not looked good. I'm taking West Virginia upset OU in Norman. Give me the Mountaineers.
Ooh, I think you're a week early, Zach. I think it's next week that Oklahoma plays Kansas State. Yeah. That's the one that is the upset alert for me, not this one. We're so hyper locally focused on Clemson, but they're asking a lot of the same questions about their offense in Norman, Oklahoma, and in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Where's the big play? Where's the explosiveness? Oklahoma's not found a way to get the ball down the field with their passing game. That's why they're playing some closer games and they're comfortable in. I think they find some rhythm this week. I think Spencer Rattler gets to West Virginia a little bit. I think West Virginia got lucky to survive Virginia Tech last week. Give me Oklahoma and by probably about 2 touchdowns. So West Virginia may end up covering this.
Yeah, I'm going with the Sooners at home. If this one was on the road, I might think about going the other way with it. But because I know Oklahoma is, like Clemson, is off to a slow start on offense. Not quite as slow, but slow nonetheless. But I just don't see West Virginia going into Norman and winning.
All right, now the game everybody cares about: NC State at Clemson, 3:30 on ESPN at Carr Finley Stadium up in Raleigh. Guys, I'll let you go first. Give me your thoughts on the game and prediction.
I don't like the spread in this one. I think the value on NC State has come and gone. When they were like 11, 12-point favorite, 10, I leaned way more towards taking the Wolfpack. I'm kind of taking a wait-and-see approach because if this line keeps coming down, I think there's going to be a lot of value on Clemson. I think the Tigers win this game. I think their defense is too good. I think they now know what to expect from that 3-3-5 defense. I think they'll have a better game plan. I don't know if there'll be a ton of explosive plays, but as long as Clemson protects the ball, look, NC State turned the ball over 3 times at Mississippi State a couple weeks ago, so they're also turnover prone. The team that controls the ball and doesn't give it up wins this game. I think it's going to be Clemson. But if Clemson plays like they did last week, they're going to lose. I just don't think they are going to play like they did last week.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see a little bit different of a Clemson offense this week. I think they'll be a little bit more prepared for this 3-man front. Tony Elliott might decide to do some things a little differently compared to what they did last week. I don't think there's going to be an offensive explosion or anything like that, but I think Clemson wins this game. They might not even score 20 points, but I think this defense is good enough to hold this North Carolina State offense down. I got it like 16-9.
Another barn burn. All right, Brad, what was your score? Because we didn't get that from you.
Yeah, I'm going something like 20 to 10 or 20 to 8. It'll be something weird again. It'll have a weird score. It's going to be an ugly game, but it'll be low scoring.
Yeah, I refuse from now on to give the Clemson more than 20 points in a game until they prove me wrong. So I'm going Clemson 17, NC State 6. I think the defense comes out and makes another statement that they can carry this team, that they are good enough to be a championship team. I think you see Tony Elliott kind of loosen the reins a little bit in the running game and screen game. I think you're going to see DJ play better. It's not going to be the game that everybody expects or wants to see, them scoring 56 points in a game. But for me, it's about coming out of this game feeling better about yourself offensively than you went into it. I think this is an angry team. This is a focused team. And the last thing you want, if you're NC State, is to play the Clemson team that's angry and mad and has been here all week, or really since week 1, about how they suck on offense, how bad they are. And that's all this team's had to hear about. So I think you're going to focus team. I think changing things up on the offensive line is going to be a good thing for Clemson. Maybe getting Marcus Tay in, and Rayburn and Trier and Palatio and some of those guys. I think that's what you're going to see. I think they're going to rotate guys. And Mitchell Mason, another guy that Dabo Sweeney said, earned playing time but didn't get in against Georgia Tech. I think that's where I think you're going to see the difference. I think you're going to see Clemson wear around NC State. And look, they're going to pound them and pound them and pound them with a run.
I agree. I think you brought up a great point about those offensive linemen, which leads me to this real quick, Zach, before we wrap things up. If you keep telling people that you should have played guys, why are you not playing guys? Like I'm not calling out Coach Sweeney. This is all coaches. It drives me nuts. Every single week you hear a coach say, well, we should have done this. We should have played this guy. I wish we had played this guy. Why didn't you? Quit telling us what you wish you should have done or wish you would have done. Tell us why you didn't do it. How about that?
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, and for me, it's one of those things where hindsight's not necessarily 2020. I mean, these coaches had to know in the game that these guys weren't in the game. They
Exactly.
Playing time. So I mean, Dabo being head coach, it doesn't matter. Like you said, these guys are on the headsets. They can say, "Look, get his ass in the game." I mean, get Mitchell Mason in the game, get Palatino in the game.
They didn't earn their playing time sitting on the bench. They weren't over there in the third quarter earning their playing time then. They earned it on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So why are they sitting on the bench the whole game? It makes no sense to me. I can't stand that excuse.
That was one of the biggest surprises of that entire game to me. Those guys did not see a single snap. We have been told about how this team was going to be able to go 8, 9, 10 guys deep along the offensive line, and then not one backup gets a snap against Georgia Tech when your offensive line is playing that poorly.
Exactly. Your offensive line doesn't know whether to block themselves or block air, and so you put somebody else in. But guys, for this game coming up here today, I think we're all in agreement. Clemson wins. I think that fans should feel a little bit better about the Tigers after this week's game, but it's not. I mean, it's time. The proof's in the pudding. The proof's in the product on the field. So we'll see here at 3:30. For Brad Singer, for Jason Priester, I am Zach Lynch. Thanks so much for joining us on the All Clemson Tailgate Show. Have a great day, and be sure to check out allclemson.com for all the latest information on the game. I'll have game summaries, I'll have halftime analysis, have up, downs, have everything you could possibly want about the game, pre and post game. And we'll also have our forum rolling if you want to jump in there and join us. For these guys, I'm Zach. Have a great game day and go Tigers.